found was that the camera creates a barrier in a way that it kind of protected me through the moment.
From service to storytelling, Johnny Guerrero is all about capturing moments that matter. His journey has taken him from the army to law enforcement. Now he's a professional wedding and portrait photographer with a unique perspective behind the lens. As the host of the Trading Holsters podcast, Johnny creates a space for military, first responders, and artists to share their journeys, passions, and experience that shaped them.
Photographers, sometimes depending on what genre you're in and what you're doing, you have a lot of power in that holstered camera.
Yeah.
I forgot her name right now, but she won one of the awards here. And the photograph that she took was the one where her best friend, they were giving her the flag at the service.
Yes.
And she had to separate herself to be able to do that because this is someone that she's been a part of all her life. And then she took the photos and she was the only one that saw her face. They're anguished, but she had no more tears. So she took the photo and then handed the camera over so she can be a best friend again.
Yeah.
And that photo has power. Welcome back to the Outspoken Artist. I'm here with my friend Johnny Guerrero, man. You are the man. I love your podcast.
Oh my gosh.
Let me tell you, when you told me you like my podcast, I was like, what the fuck? People like my podcast. It meant a lot to me. Your support, your help. I've been trying to get you here. Like how many times?
This is maybe the 5th or 6th.
Jesus, it's been a while, but I'm happy to have you here and not have missed the opportunity because we could do Zoom. We can do whatever, Riverside, email or whatever, but this right here, this is so much better. And even when I was looking to interview you, you're like, no, interview Paulina. And I'm like, thank you. She was a wonderful speaker.
Good.
But I'm like, I got to get you tomorrow. So
Here I am.
it is tomorrow now. And
Now it's tomorrow.
tell me about yourself.
Before I tell you about myself, going back to what you just said, I found your podcast about a year ago. You were interviewing a friend. I was just looking for an episode on my friend, and I found you. And your approach to people in general, and then your approach to the profession of photography, plus your demeanor, it just makes a great show. It really does. That was Rick Lewis, by the way. Sorry, I owe Rick I owe him for being introduced to you through Rick. So
That's a great human being.
yeah, him. They both are.
Yeah, they are. Him, Kayla.
Yeah. So thank you for having me. I'm honored. I really am.
Awesome, man. I really appreciate it. That means a lot. Tell me about your show. Tell the world about your show because I love what you're doing. And you have one or two? What do you have now?
I have one.
Okay.
I have the Trading Holsters podcast.
Okay.
And this was also about a year ago. A brainchild, a seed was planted in me to tell my story. I never really thought my story was all that, but I met another guy, I think you interviewed, Sam. Guillermo.
Oh my God, Sam.
Yeah.
Great guy.
That guy is just
I knew about him from you. I was watching your episode. Yeah.
Oh. So Sam, we got to talking. We were at WPBI week. We were at the Kayla Douglas Artistry VIP party, which if you're not going to go to that party, you're missing out. And Sam was like, dude, your story is interesting. You need to tell your story now, and you should start a podcast. And I was like, whoa, don't put that on me because, I don't have time for that.
Right.
But he even named it the Trading Holsters podcast. And I was like, I don't know, man. And for a year now, I thought about it. But the name came from, I was in the military. I did 5 years in the Army. And then after that, I transitioned into law enforcement. And I spent 23 years as a deputy sheriff before I retired, almost 3 years ago. So kind of moving from one profession to another. And I'd put a likeness on carrying a gun, wearing a uniform to carrying a camera. And for me, there is a lot of similarity that maybe folks don't see. Or maybe it's just my own crazy mind coming up with that. But yeah, that's kind of where that name came from.
I can see it, right? Because photographers, sometimes depending on what genre you're in and what you're doing, you have a lot of power in that holstered camera.
Yeah.
Like I was talking to I forgot her name right now, but she won one of the awards here. And the photograph that she took was the one where her best friend, they were giving her the flag at the service.
Yes.
And she had to separate herself to be able to do that because this is someone that she's been a part of all her life. So she wanted to be the one to do it and separate herself. And then she took the photos and she was the only one that saw her face. And their anguish, but she had no more tears. Yeah. There's nothing else coming out. So she took the photo and then handed the camera over so she can be the best friend again.
Yeah.
And that photo has power. Someone who does boudoir, you can either make or break someone in boudoir. I've come to learn. If you make someone feel secure about their body, you can elevate them. If you don't, you'll break them.
Absolutely.
It's the same thing. It's like it's a weapon that we don't think we realize we yield with us. And I really like why you did that.
Yeah, I'll even go deeper in that. My father was a Vietnam veteran and dealt with a lot in the aftermath of that. He passed away maybe 2-3 years ago. About 2 years ago. And so he had his funeral near our home, and then he had his military funeral at Fort St. Houston Cemetery in San Antonio. And oh, this is great. At the second one, I debated taking my camera. On one side, as a photographer, I thought, I've got to photograph this.
Right.
And then on the other side, as a son, I thought, I just need to be respectful of my family. But I made the decision to take it. And they try to make it through this. So give me a second.
Don't worry, man.
So I made the decision to take my camera. And what I found was that the camera creates a barrier in a way that it kind of protected me through the moment. So you have a military funeral, you have the 21 gun salute, you have the bugle call of taps, bagpipes. These are like, if you've ever attended one, I don't know if you have or not, gut wrenching. Especially insured, if you know the person. We had all that. And through that, this little piece of a camera, I should sell it so it's small, created this huge barrier for me to be able to experience that. And then I had feelings later. And for me, that works for me. I'd rather deal with my stuff privately than amongst everybody, and that's just personal choice. But I have photos that I took of them folding the flag, presenting the flag to my mom, and those are some of the. I've photographed some amazing things in amazing places all over, but that's to me some of the most personal, deep photos I've ever taken.
It's a level of. It's that detachment, you have to detach to be able to do what you need to do. It almost becomes like your duty. You have to do it.
Yeah.
Because you have to do it justice.
Right.
And it's hard.
Yeah. And to go back to, and this is something I'm going to hopefully hit on in my show, is the way we deal with tragedy and stress and high risk situations. That's not really something that's taught. Sometimes it's something that maybe I don't want to be too conspiracy theorist, but sometimes it's something that's completely avoided on purpose.
Yeah.
But we have to, as military and first responders, learn how to deal with these things. Personally, I've been through some situations where I had to seek therapy to deal with post-traumatic stress disorder, some depression, and it can be easy to resist those things, of course, or say, I don't need that. That's not for me. But to do it and to tell your story to someone else that can help guide you through that process is an amazing feeling. I recommend therapy to anybody, whether you've been in any kind of situation or not.
Right.
I think we all as human beings need to be heard. And so on my show, I'm hoping to bring in military veterans or military members, members of law enforcement, police, fire, EMS, bring them in, especially the ones that have moved on and are creatives. I know plenty that are photographers, videographers, content creators, podcasters.
Right.
And I'm like, hey, let's dig in. Let's tell our story in a therapeutic manner. It's going to help us and whoever's listening that might need that help also.
I think there's someone that if you don't know her, I think I'll introduce Kelly Eskison. I think is her last name. She is former military in the Navy. Photographs. I forgot what the name of the ceremony is when they go to basic training, but she has a lot of like, that's her world.
Yeah.
She's always within the military. I'll connect both of you because I think she would love to talk to you because her and her husband, they're all military. So I'll definitely connect you with that. I think that'll be very helpful because we need to normalize. It is okay. Therapy, there's nothing wrong with it. Doesn't mean you're broken. That's nothing necessarily something to fix. It just might need to be heard. That's to your point, right?
Yeah.
And it should be okay. You shouldn't be thought of as less than because of it. And same thing that us as dudes deal with. We have a lot of this issues as men that we should be okay with. Like it's okay to not be perfect.
Yeah.
It's okay. And sometimes talking about it is what helps.
Yeah. The phrase I like is I'm not permanently broken.
That's good.
Because being broken isn't necessarily negative, right? Because things can be fixed, it's can be put back together. But permanently broken, that's deep down,
Right.
tragic, right? But everything's fixable.
Agreed. Tell me, your Magnolia Studio, what kind of photography work do you do? We've been chit-chatting here about life. Tell me about your work, your artistic side.
So I own Magnolia Gruene Photography. Gruene is spelled Gruene. It's the area that I live in. It's settled by Germans, and so that's the spelling. Magnolia, my wife is from Mississippi. That's the state flower. So we kind of combined the two to come up with Magnolia.
I like the homage to that. It's nice.
Yeah. She's amazing. Shout out Gina. But yeah, I photograph mostly weddings and high school seniors.
Okay.
I do other work like family photography, things like that. But that's where my heart is really in weddings and high school seniors.
Nice. I've been asking this question. I think I know the answer because you're a podcaster right now. But when was the last time you've done a personal project outside of the podcast?
Outside of a podcast, there are times where I will take, especially like a current client, especially like one that's been with me for a while,
Yeah.
and say, hey, when do you have a day available just to come over? And we'll schedule something. I'll set up, maybe some backdrops or some props, and I said, I may not know what I'm doing today, but we're going to work through it. So give me 3 hours. And we'll sit around and take some shots. And like, if I don't like it, we'll change it up. We'll do something different. So
I like it. Just whatever comes from it.
Yeah. Just a creative day.
That's great. I've come across so many that have not done. They think about it and they're like, man, I just been focusing on the business that I haven't taken the camera out the studio in like a decade.
Yeah.
Because you're so caught into a day to day that it becomes, like a job at that point, a career that we neglect a bit of our artistic side. And for me, the podcast is filling in the gap of I haven't done anything artistic in like 3 years outside of the podcast.
Right.
And it's fine. This is artistic. This is great.
It is. It definitely is.
But I think we all should be doing something out. To your point, it's something, it could not be anything. It could just be out with a camera, taking a picture. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Right.
All right. Question, where can people find your work?
So
both the podcast and your photography.
Okay. So the podcast is, again, Trading Holsters podcast. It's on Spotify. Probably going to put it on YouTube. I'm doing video and audio. Yeah, I know, right? It's that evergreen content, but I just haven't got imaging happen. So I kind of had to put that on pause, but I'll be dropping episodes probably every Friday. That's good. That's my goal.
I mean, I wish I had that discipline, but I'll do it. I'll get there.
I hope I can stick with it. I see how it goes. And as far as the photography side, on Magnolia Gruene, on everything.
Okay, I'll put it up. The spelling and everything. It's the easiest thing to do.
Right on.
Buddies, I'm so glad I caught you. It's been great talking to you.
Glad, man.
This won't be the last time. But you know what I realized? I've had repeat guests that I've interviewed before. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do this. It's been a year. What the heck have you been up to? And surprisingly, some of them have been doing new things. And I like it. So yeah, I think down the road, I'll be talking to whoever I talk to. Like, all right, let's talk. Where are you at? What's been going on with the podcast? What's been going on with this personal project?
Right.
Keep, the connections with people because sometimes we just need to talk. That's all we got to do, man.
Yeah. It's all about communication.
Thank you for being here, man.
Yeah, good seeing you.
Right. I'd like to be in your show. That'd be fun.
I'll have you.
Yeah.
I'll have you. I'm gonna have the I released 4 episodes. We've dropped
Nice.
those. I have some more in queue ready to go. But I'm going to start scheduling guests. I'm doing some remote work.
Good deal.
And make sure I got the tech down, and it'll go from there.
Awesome. All right, man. I'll see you around imaging.
Yes, sir.
All right, man.
Bye. Bye.